What are you doing?
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be playing a few matches in the Emperor tier in RTA. We're currently a few weeks into the season, so it's not that impressive, but still. Yes, today's videos are mostly going to be in my preferred playstyle, which is bullying standard players, though I guess a lot of people would call it aggro, understandably. If you guys like my content and would like to support me, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. Yeah, self-promo, shameless self-promo, YouTuber things. Anyway, to get that out of the way. In my first match, my opponent picks a really boring Airwolf pick, so I decide to play it a bit more aggressively than I normally would, because I've noticed that with Zio, the meta has definitely shifted slower. So I pick my stene here because she's still the top tier neutral DPS that you can use in literally any playstyle, except for like anti-cleave. She's the worst at anti-cleave, but anyways. My opponent picks two more degenerate picks in Conqueror Lilius and AOL, so I follow up with Zio to guarantee turn 1 and an unconditional cleanser in Meteor Cowrick to deal with the AOL. My opponent is just going straight on Golden Girls, which is like, yikes, and Light Aiden. And for their last pick, I thought they would pick something exciting like Winter, but I was I was sorely mistaken because they end up picking Arya, which is, you know, not a boring unit, but still very threatening. In the ban phase, I was like considering banning Light Aiden, which would have been the correct ban to do, by the way, but I decided to ape out and ban Arrowell because I thought they might ban Arrowell because of Opsig, and then they didn't ban Opsig, so I just sat there looking like Boo Boo the clown, Boo Boo the fool. It's okay. I even switched imprints to stene because I realized that my Opsig was going to be a dead weight this game because, again, I banned Airwolf for no reason. And to top it all off, Conqueror Lilius resists Zio's S3 because, like, having good luck, like, of course we don't. Like, why would we? We're on left side and that doesn't work like that. So I actually thought this was like a new age Conqueror Lilius build that had F-res, but later you get to see that my stene lands poisons on her. So she literally just double 15%ed. But yeah, it doesn't matter too much, I think. I pressed S3 here even though the speed tuning is terrible because I don't really have a choice, because stripping Arya doesn't really do much, or stripping one of the units doesn't really do much, and at least I can shake off the debuffs before AOL puts another round of them down. So like I at least am able to take off redirect provoke and attack down from all my units. So Arya goes and AOL goes, and it's looking pretty rough for me, but if my stene actually can kill AOL, I mean not AOL, Arya, that would be pretty good. Luckily my Opsig does not get silence, so she gets to S2, which if you didn't know gets a 50% death pen, which is not a negligible boost in damage, even though it did piddly damage anyway because she has greater defense buff on with vigor and defense buff. So with my many souls, and because Tagahels is fair and balanced, I'm actually able to crack through this Arya with my stene, which makes me feel really good about building this pen set stene, because my old stene, while was much tankier and higher in gear score, would not have had enough damage to crack that Arya, so we actually get the win. And you just get to watch me go into a Conqueror Lilius with invincibility for I don't really know why either, but it happened. We just accept it at this point. This is what the intro meme meant. Like, there was a lot of plays, especially in this match and another match, where I just keep fucking up non-stop. But it's okay. Like, I'm showing people that it's okay to make mistakes, and then you can still win sometimes if you just outdraft your opponent or out RNG your opponent. which is this match? I think it's like I just outdrafted my opponent. Like I feel like if Conquer Lilius was actually pushed back by my Zeo, this match wouldn't have been as close because stene would have 100% one-shot this Arya, but you know, it evens out. I time Zeo's extra attack into Aiden because if you guys didn't know, you can't counterattack off of like bonus attacks or counterattacks. So we're able to get bonus chip damage into Aiden, but we lag and we hit Aiden anyway, so justice, I guess. It's why it feels kind of bad to put high gear score on units like Aiden and Rylet who rely heavily on evasion because sometimes they just get hit and all that gear score goes down the toilet. But, oof. But yeah, we're just gonna queue up for the next match. And if you haven't noticed, I have a lot more matches played than my last upload, and that's because I have a problem. I always say I'm only gonna play one game to not decay and then end up playing like 20 games, so yikes, you know. But it's really fun to play during these times where people are like experimenting with new stuff, with like new collab units and stuff, because you don't get to see you don't have to deal with like the same cookie cutter bullshit of like, you know, like DJB FCC or like hand guy ARAS. Like people are trying a few weirder out of the box things. Like not my opponent here though. Like of course they have to pick SCROL.
Are you here to capture me?
And having learned my lesson from my last match, I decided to pick Flitica instead of Operator Sigrid here. Because yeah, that's one of OpSig's biggest problems, is that she makes it into like 50-50 bans sometimes, and then other units wouldn't have that. So that's her big downside, is that if you pick her, she becomes a must ban, but then it's like a mind game of like, do they ban OpSig? Should I ban the barrier unit back? But if you mess up, it's just kind of a big L, unfortunately. But yeah, my opponent picks Destina Mercedes to counter. Well, they pick Mercedes to counter stene, and they just pick Destina because Destina SC Arwell is like the cookie cutter bullshit of this season, I guess. But I pick a new tech of mine, which is this super high effectiveness AOL. She's decently tanky on 250F, so I'm pretty confident that she will be able to silence this Destina. Like at most they have like 300, so it would be a 50-50, but it's a 50-50 I'm willing to take, you know. And then I pick Shu because Shu matches very well into Mercedes. And for the last pick, I decide to pick Carrot here because Carrot is good into, well, she's like neutrally good into all their DPSs, and if you didn't know, Burn penetrates defense, so she's actually pretty decent into Lionheart as well. And I just check my imprints just to make sure, and we go into the match. I banned Destina just so that my debuffs stick, because a lot of the meta has shifted to debuff heavy comps, if you haven't noticed. So like units with debuffs are becoming very popular, even though popular anti-debuff units still exist and they haven't been changed, but people are just picking them less often, strangely. And I'm not too sure why. And of course, my AOL gets everything resisted. Well, everything important resisted. She doesn't silence the Alencia, and she doesn't strip Escort off AOL, which is kind of a giant L. I was contemplating running it into Lionheart, but I was kind of not too confident in being able to kill her, especially if she's on proof. Well, I mean, I hit her, but I didn't, so I should have known what she was on, but I wasn't paying attention because, like, you know, cleave brain things. So I decided just to S3 and stun the Alencia to keep her from stripping off my stealth and skill nullifiers. And yeah, we just move on. I luckily resetted Mercedes, so she's not very threatening at all. And Lionheart didn't get a counterattack because my Shu is actually on speed set. So Yeah, just Lionheart Zermia is a very low value pick into me, guys. Unless I'm picking Conqueror Lilius. I would not recommend it. None of my units are on counter. I don't farm Banshee. Pro tip.
You want to try me?
But now that Escort fell off, I'm finally confident enough to just
Don't come near.
keep attacking into Lionheart, and we luckily get attacks into Mercedes at the same time, so like no complaints here. And I'm finally able to S3 with Shu because I'm not worried if she counterattacks anymore. She crits a green unit because, you know, it's Shu's hidden passive. And although Flitica did not go back into Guiding Light, I don't think there's much my opponent can really do. We get a lucky counter, like a lucky Elburst proc on Shu, and Mercedes dies, and this game's pretty much over. We get a dual attack here, but I don't think it mattered too much because I would have soul burned into Alencia anyway, and then Steny would have been able to finish them off eventually.
No?
But yeah, today's matches are going like pretty well. I'm luckily not this successful. I'm what people would call a 50-50 gamer because I like picking units that I like, you know, like I like Steny, I like Flitica, and yes, I should technically be putting better gear onto like SC Arwell and Destina, but I'm here to show people that you can play the playstyle you want
Like somebody
and
forgot
find
to
success
plug
with
in.
like not whale tier gear. You know, like I think that's one of my biggest selling points is that like none of my gear is like that good except for like I guess my Payra's fast and like you can give me that, but like other than that my gear is like pretty middling. My opponent picks Lua because I forgot I was banning DJB, and then they pick Flitica too, which is usually my other answer to Lua because of Guiding Light, and then I'm forced into picking Payra and Zahak to try and counter his team because I don't know what's going on. Like this draft, honestly, kind of just went into the dumpster. I pick Ida here just to
Are you sure?
make him ban it, because like he doesn't know what the speeds of my units are, and then Ida can be threatening to his team, but it doesn't look too good for me because Payra gets really punished. Zio doesn't work against Guiding Light units. Zahak is slower base speed than Lua. You saw me almost rage quit there because I thought the comp was like really bad and like I just couldn't win. But I just thought to play it out because, you know, it's always fun to laugh at a clown like messing up and getting slapped. But luckily, Zio actually hits Aiden, so you don't eat the counter here. And then, again, Aiden gets hit by Payra, and we eat the counter from Edward, but I don't think it matters too much. Like we have a real winning shot. I stun Flitica with Zio's book souls, and you know, Lua's gonna do her thing, but since I have Steny, I'm like half confident that maybe I can win and manage to pull this out of my ass, but we'll see because Steny does have attack down. Like that's one of the worst debuffs Edward could have given her. Like couldn't he give her like resist or unbuffable? Like I please, can I have something? Unfortunately, no, because me getting good things like that doesn't happen. Come on, guys. You guys all know. I was a little bit sus about what I was going to do, but I decided to test my damage against Edward. And luckily, we don't get a poison, or we would have instantly lost if my Steny died, but I decide from checking the damage on that it wouldn't have done enough to kill Edward on the S3. So I decide to S3 Aiden, and she gets hit again. So like, evasion units, right? And I just have to rely on cycling through with Payra and stunning Flitica so she can't do anything, because if Flitica is able to give people skill nullifier, this game will become incredibly difficult to a degree that I cannot explain because the DPS windows are quite tight already. Luckily, my Steny is not poisoning Edward or avoiding him with her S1s, so we're kind of hacking our opponent really badly here in this match, but you know, I'll take it, you know. it's justice when it happens to me. And if Edward didn't land attack down on Zio, he would have lost here too. So it's kinda even RNG, but like not really. Like the chances of hitting Aiden 2 times in a row is already insane. I just S1 Lua, so if I stun her, it doesn't get a counterattack from Edward, and my opponent quits after being hacked. But I'm so sorry, my guy. You deserve to win that match, but you know, I'm just so good at this game. What can you do? And we're on a winning streak, so we just keep queuing up. I'm kind of surprised that I'm not running into higher ranked people, because once you get on a bigger win streak, especially in like mid-Emperor, that's when you start getting matched with like popular streamers like Kana, or I matched into like Genazad once too, and he clapped me, but like still. It was very tragic. Again, I think this season I might try first picking Stene, because a lot of people just don't punish it enough, and she's very safe in this like single target oriented meta. And my opponent kind of looks like they're going for like an old style cleave setup, so I pick Zio and Orwell just in case they want to go for a more aggressive pick like closer.
Does that sound like something you want?
Yes.
Well, let me tell you, you'll never get it.
And look at that, they do. So I instantly pick Acid to deny first turn, and I pick Sahak to counter Aiden. And technically he is a speed contester too. I don't build him very fast, but other people do, and so I'm giving my opponent mental damage thinking that I am racing him now. I'm just kidding. But it is true, like people, especially the higher up you go, will respect your picks and think that they're built like the meta build at the time. Like the meta build for Sahak right now is really fast with the S2 attack buff EE. And so my opponent has to assume it's the same for my Sahak, because he can't gamble on the fact that it's a slower DPS one meant to bully standard players. And it's kind of how I get away with a lot of my picks sometimes. Oh yeah, I end up banning Conqueror Lilia so I can contest Closer, and like, you know what's going to happen. I'm going to shut down Closer Charles. And then my team is about to take a giant dump on his team. So we love that. My Zahak doesn't need to S2 because my S2 doesn't do anything on him anyway. We have enough damage to kill most Aidens, that's how I tuned him. And this Poultice actually blows up for my Stene S1, which is like cracked. But yeah. I S3 Closer here, and I realized that maybe he was banking on Moonlight Dreamblading or like evading the pushback from Zio, but that's kind of like cope. And the game was over from there because Airwell could have stunned Charlotte, and then my team could more than handle just the solo DPS Charlotte from there. But yeah, as I was saying, like when I first hit Emperor 3 seasons ago, or 2 seasons ago, my Conqueror Lilius was only 270 speed, but I first picked it every game, and then people had to respect the fact that I could have been like 300 speed. So not a lot of people raced me because Peyra and Ran weren't like as widespread or weren't released, don't remember, at the time. So that is one tech. That's how Kiln gets away with a lot of his techs too, is that like people expect his units to be built a certain sort of way, but they aren't, and that's just like very big brain. Going on into the next match, again, this guy, I can read his name in Korean, but it doesn't really mean anything, so like I'm not too sure. But anyway, they are very rudely take my Stene first pick away from me, so I'm like bet and pick Light Aiden and Flitica. And then they pick Zio and FCC, and I'm very excited because Zio doesn't do very much against me because he doesn't want to S3 Aiden. He can't do anything against Flitica. So I decided to pick an attack buffer and Opsig because Opsig, again, is in Guiding Light, and my DN has enough F-res to resist most like non-effectiveness debuffers. So like she has enough to resist like a stene S3, like 100% for example. My opponent picks Sage Ugly and Spirit Isoline, and I end up picking Carrot because it counters all his DPS units, and end up just banning Sage, and my opponent understandably bans Carrot too. But I have a pretty good feeling about this game. Like, all my Opsig has to do is one-shot this FCC, and admittedly, my Opsig isn't on bad gear, but she's not on the best gear. So I'm like frantically trying to scramble imprints to give my Opsig as much damage as possible, and see where we go from there. As expected, Zeo grabs turn 1, but as I explained, it's not going to change anything, and we love to see that. I honestly think he should have tried to go into Aiden, because Aiden would have stripped barriers off, and that would have made it less value for Opsig, but I can see why they tried to go into DN, but no. And the match is basically over. My DN is going to give attack buff to my Opsig, and my Opsig is going to tear through this FCC. Prage. Prage. Please. Opsig, you have one job. Oh, wait. No. Celine gets to go because of Secret Arm Storm Sword, but she got reset by Flitica, so like lol. But yes, my Opsig. Damage check right here. Damn. Based. So we basically win this match from here. Even though it's just an Opsig solo DPS match, through Aiden and Flitica, there should be more than enough lasting power until I can kill all his other units and focus down Stene at the end. But yeah, this video is kind of longer than my normal videos, but you know, I just told myself that I would just play until I lost, and we just queue him into the next game on a very rare 9 win streak, and let's see if we can push it to 10. And for the last match, we're against Shy Shy Shy, which is a K-pop meme. Like, oof, I'll never say that again. But anyway, it's a K-pop meme from the K-pop group Twice, which is like the only K-pop, the last K-pop group I like seriously listen to. I'm like old now, it's terrible. But yeah, my opponent picks Hand Guy SCROL, and I'm like, great, I can punish this guy aggressively. And I didn't learn my lesson because I shouldn't have picked Operator Sigrid here, because my opponent instantly slams down Rand. And at the time, I thought it was okay, but since he picks Aiden 2, that's kind of sussy, but I don't have a choice but to pick 2 speed contesters, because most Rands, if they're depending on the artifact, will kill my Stene. And since I have no mitigation, it's like kind of doomed. So I'm kind of forced into picking 2 speed contests at the end, unfortunately. But we'll see how it goes. My opponent picks Rimuru, but I don't think Rimuru does too much against my team, and I gamble here, use Cleave Brain, thinking, oh, my Aespa outspeeds Rand. Easily, right? Right? But no.
I'm in danger.
And Rand's about to do what Rand does. Super fair and balanced. Like, I'm like praying internally that this is a fake Rand, but the HP doesn't look too good. And yeah, it one-shots my Stene. My Acid doesn't get crit here, so he's able to live and easily one-shot this Rimuru. But it's looking pretty doomed here. Unless I can hit Aiden 3 times in a row and kill her, like the last, or the one like from a few games ago. I S3 to get skill null and push up my team against Rand. And I go for the S2 onto Rand because she should be able to kill because Rands are paper. And luckily we do. So this is where it gets really interesting. Like, I have to hope that Opsig hits this S3,
Disappears.
and we don't. So we lost. Thanks for watching, guys. No, I'm gonna keep playing and trying, but it doesn't look too good. Like my opponent S2's here. Luckily my Opsig doesn't die, but it's looking pretty rough because I don't have a good way to kill this Meat-Eater Cowrick, and it's looking like an S1 will kill Acid and Flutica at this rate, so my opponent S1's for some lifesteal, but he really didn't need to. I can't get any damage in on this Aiden, and I just go for a Latchtus S2 and then run away because Cleave Brain.
I'm here.
But that's it. That's the RIP to my 10 win streak games in Emperor. But as again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. And if you've watched this point and like and subscribe, I'd like to thank you for supporting my channel and all those good sappy feelings. Bye!